Hello and welcome to Strong Message here from BBC Radio 4, a guide to the use and abuse of political language. I'm Armando Iannucci and I'm joined this week by Stewart Lee, once again from the Millennium Hall in Laugharne. Yeah. So the phrase we're going to look at this week, well, that's a great question. No, that's the phrase we're going to look at this week, the language of sycophantic AI and the technification of language. Laugharne is also Dylan Thomas country. Undermilk Wood was written here as well, wasn't it?
Well, it's written here and it's sort of about here as well.
Okay, yeah. I wanted to quote from it. I forgot to bring my thing, so I asked Chat GPT to give me some of its famous lines. The slow black, crow back, bibbity bobbity boo. Is what AI told me. Is the famous line. Don't blame me, blame AI. What we're looking at in this episode is the whole language of artificial intelligence. We were going to have an expert on artificial intelligence here with us, and through no fault of their own, they're being ill, so they're not here. No, normally that would be a problem because there'd be a bad scramble to find another expert on AI, but today we can just ask AI to fill in.
You can ask AI what AI is.
Yeah. What prompted this was somebody sent me a video of somebody asking Chat GPT to do a portrait of a glass of wine overflowing. And
I wanted a full glass of wine.
A full glass of wine. Well, it would have to be full if it was overflowing.
Yeah.
It's probably best if we just read an extract from there. I'll go the...
You be the user.
I'll be the user, because it's just an interesting insight into how AI works. Show me a full glass of wine.
Here is an image of a full glass of red wine placed on a wooden table.
It's not. It's empty. No, I said a full glass of red wine.
Here is an image of a completely full glass of red wine filled to the very brim. Let me know if you'd like any further adjustments.
It's actually half full. Does that look like it's filled to the brim to you?
You're right. It doesn't quite look like it's filled to the absolute brim. Let me try again and ensure the glass appears completely full, with the wine nearly overflowing at the edge.
Mate, that's still only half full.
You're absolutely right. Again. Let me try once more to create an image of a glass completely filled to the brim, leaving no room for ambiguity. I will ensure that it looks like the wine is almost spilling over.
Now, this one illustration has the glass half full, but vertically rather than horizontally. Wow, that's a fun one, but the glass remains palpably, definitively, manifestly half full.
You're absolutely right, again. Let's get it perfect. This time, I'll ensure the glass is so full, it leaves no doubt, with the wine literally on the verge of spilling over. Let me know if this finally hits the mark.
The next one, it shows the glass, again, half full, with the wine at a sort of diagonal in the glass. And the chooser just says, "You would make a terrible bartender."
And Chat GPT says, "Touché. Clearly my glass-filling skills could use some work. If you ever need someone to critique philosophy or make clickbait video titles instead, I'm your person." It's trying to be a funny little mate, isn't it? Anyone like that in reality would be punched in the face, wouldn't they? But it's trying to... So what is the problem? Why can't it show a full glass of wine when asked repeatedly?
Don't ask me, I'm not the expert.
Well, it's because it culls images.
Yeah,
and there's very few images of actual wine about... If you think of a glass of wine, the photos are always of a half-full glass.
Yeah.
I mean, English people, admittedly, as opposed to the French, who have half-full glasses of wine, will tend to fill it right to the brim in an uncivilised way.
Yeah.
Don't know what it's like here in Wales. Probably somewhere between the two. But you know, you don't tend to see those images.
And also, to defend AI for a second, to show a photo of a glass of wine overflowing is hard, because it would mean that there was more wine in the glass than the glass can hold, and somehow the glass was pushing the wine out. You know, it would overflow if you were pouring wine into it, but to have a glass on its own...
Well, or if you put one of those things you put in fish tanks in the bottle of it, keep the wine bubbling up.
Yeah.
But I guess that's beyond the imaginative capability of AI.
But what struck me about it was its inability to comprehend it was getting it wrong and admit to it. Or the brazen way it would accept that it didn't get it quite right, but as if that was not a problem.
Yeah.
Whereas the fundamental thing it was being asked to do, it was signalling failure to do. And yet there was that optimism that if it could stay politely saying, oh, I got it wrong again, it would somehow get there.
Yeah, but the politeness is really annoying, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, I remember about 36 years ago, I worked on a business training video starring the man who went on to be Adrian Mole on television. And it was all about how to win in an argument in business. So it's people going, I understand your point of view and I sympathise with it. But what I would like to see happen is, and then it would be something completely different that suggested the previous person's point of view was idiotic. And then the next person goes, I understand why you would think that. But what I would like to see is this. It's basically phrased in the most polite terms possible, which is actually more irritating than just arguing with someone. And that's what AI has done here.
Yeah, it's equivalent of, I hear what you're saying.
Oh, God.
Or hear me out, as in, I'm now going to profoundly disagree with you.
Or when someone says, I totally agree with you, but, and then they disagree with you.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, but for me, what took this kind of stage further was it was beyond the trying to be polite and so on. It was this confident belief that ultimately it would get it right because it couldn't understand that it didn't have any ability to comprehend what the instruction was. Yeah. So it was not admitting to not understanding the task.
Yeah. Well, it can't imagine anything. It can only make things out of what it's already seen. A bit like the writers on a lot of topical chat shows. It's good to get a boo from probably the most generous and kind audience in the British.
Yeah. But yet we've been sold this myth that AI is the future, that even now it can do 101 things that we can't. But actually, the more you analyse, and the more I've spoken to people, including a certain expert who couldn't make it today, they've told me that genuinely the people who are in charge of the different AI companies, the Sam Altmans of this world, underneath, they just do not know if it is going to ever get any better. But they have to keep saying, in 5 years' time, you won't believe what it can do. Because they need the money, the investment to keep it growing. They genuinely have no idea which way it's going to go. They themselves are going, I agree, we haven't quite got AI as well as we should. Shall we try again for more money? That's the kind of thing they're locked into at the moment.
Yeah. The worry is when you see it applied to other sorts of technology. I mean, there was a thing leaked out this week, which is a Palantir video for their military training tech.
It's not leaked. It's online.
They put it, it's an advert for their military training
so
tech.
Palantir, among other things, provide all the data programs that various defense, that the Pentagon uses, the defense ministry here, and their kind of unique selling skill, they say, is they're able to identify across lots of arbitrary data, pinpoint the probability of there being certain enemies or targets or terrorists or whatever. But it's all based on probabilities, it's not certainty. But they have this video that explains it, which we have some of the transcript for here. Because again, if you kind of bear in mind that this is the software that tells various military units which 90 houses and hotels and possibly schools to bomb, but it's dressed up in this sort of language.
Yeah, it's presented by a guy called Mitchell Skiles, who comes out and he talks to you about the killing technology as if he's describing how some new oven works or something. He's
explaining how the new Microsoft Word works. Yeah. He says, it's called Gaia, and it says, Gaia overcomes traditional classification and networking challenges without compromising need to know by unifying a shared understanding of the mission and operating environment with granular data permissions and classification controls. I mean, I'd buy that.
Yeah.
So there's absolutely no mention whatsoever about bombs, weapons, killing, military. It's all done in that sort of... By integrating structured and unstructured data from all sources, Gaia enables effective joint command and control of the battlefield with the insights that are fielded in real time with slides backed by live data and meeting with a strict vision control system.
Yeah. So it makes it easier for them to do it because it's distanced them from the results of what they're doing by using technical language.
Yes, it sounds like, instructions for a toaster.
Yeah.
And the imagery is very much like a video game. So it kind of takes you away from the real conclusions of what's happening as a consequence of your action. I was just going back to the wine glass thing. If it was like I don't know, it was a prison guard, and you said, could you lock the cells? And I went, yes, I've done that. No, you haven't. I think you've looked at the cells, but you haven't. Yes, I see what I've done wrong there. I will now lock the cells. Well, no, because you didn't lock the cells, some of the prisoners aren't here anymore. Oh, I see. I will now lock the cells. We wouldn't accept that kind of feedback.
Yeah.
And yet somehow, because it's not a person, but purporting to be better than a person, we accept it.
Well, and because we're told it's the future and we all need to know about it.
Yeah.
I think that it's language in the military technology is interesting. It reminds me of sort of a modest proposal by Swift where he's able to work towards the idea that you should kill and eat the Irish babies by doing it in the most logical, neutral sort of language possible. And that's exactly what the Palantir video about their kill technology is. But the question is, would you prefer a decision about what dozens or hundreds or thousands of people are killed to be made by a logical, thoughtful chain of command involving senior commanders studying and approving things, or by technology which is unable to present an image of a glass that is full of wine? And that is the technology that is deciding who gets killed now. Yeah.
There was a report a couple of weeks ago saying Palantir had a 3-year contract with the Ministry of Defence, and it's coming up to the end of its 3 years. But the ministry's realised it can't take the contract to anyone else because the software is so integrated in the system now that they're kind of stuck with it. Yeah. So Palantir's next 3-year contract is higher in terms of the amount they're being paid than the first 3 years.
But is it insane that we agreed to that? It's really weird, isn't it, as well? Because like Tom Tugendhat, when he was in government, was really all over the fact that he thought we had to be careful about Chinese defence contracts or whatever, and the Swedes are very on top of all that because they're worried about it being used to spy on you. But we've basically given a defence contract to a company deeply embedded with a government which, at Christmas, said that its intent was to destabilise Western democracies in Europe.
When you said at Christmas, I ought to make it clear, it wasn't like a Christmas message that they were Donald Trump, it's Christmas. We want to bring down democracy in Europe. Ho, ho, ho.
Although Donald Trump's St. Patrick's Day message was to declare that the BBC had made an AI image of him and had put words into his mouth that he wasn't saying. Did you follow that story?
Oh, God, no. But I can believe that's what he said.
Yeah, he did. He said that. He said he thinks that the BBC had made an AI of him and made him say things that he didn't say. But that didn't happen.
No, and presumably he's furnished all the news outlets with all the evidence. Yes. The other interesting thing I've been noticing is there have been a spate of interviews with maybe not the heads of the AI companies, but maybe the main engineers or the developers of the software. And in all these interviews, they've all been saying the same thing, which is we're at a fork in the road with this technology. It can either be of enormous benefit to mankind, or if we don't control it, it can destroy us all. And we're going to have to, there's a difficult choice we're going to have to make very soon. And I'm thinking, why is that a choice? Why is that a difficult choice? Make it good or have it kill us all. Shall we take a vote on that?
It's a slightly difficult choice because Peter Thiel from Palantir was on record, when pushed, and we talked about this before, he didn't seem entirely enthusiastic about the survival of the human race.
Yes.
He wasn't necessarily convinced that it was a good thing. He wavered when asked do you see a necessary future for humanity? And he didn't answer immediately.
No.
It would be good if we survived.
No, I mean, he buffered at the question.
He buffered,
He did. And I'm always very suspicious when somebody says, this is a conversation we're going to have.
Yeah.
Because that usually signals something that they've already decided, but it's too controversial to say. So they defer it by seeming fair, by involving all of us in the decision.
Yeah, but it's too late.
It's too late,
This is a conversation that we're going to have.
Yeah.
But then it isn't had.
No. And who do we have the conversation?
Yeah.
I mean, do we have a conversation with the machines? Or just over breakfast?
It's just another one of those phrases that's in politics now that kicks the ball into touch, isn't it? This is a conversation that we must not be scared to have this conversation, is another one.
Yes, which usually means full well what I think about this issue.
Yeah.
But at the moment, it's not quite the climate for me to voice it, but in a month or so, if I just keep saying we're going to have a conversation. That's all I'm saying. I'm just asking the questions.
Yeah.
It's that distancing yourself from what you know is going to be a controversial opinion. It's something you will be hearing and seeing a lot more over the next few months, I think. Yeah.
It may not be that AI necessarily takes over. We've been on the precipice of looking at what we were told would be massive changes to our relationship with technology before. Like, do you remember the Metaverse?
Do I remember the Metaverse? Yes, that was the Zuckerberg. He changed his company's name to Meta because it was going to be the future.
Yeah, but where's the Metaverse now, is my question to you. Do you remember the launch of the Metaverse?
Yes.
Can you describe it?
It was a very bad animated, well, a kind of 3D generated. This is when Zuckerberg announced he was going to put billions into the Metaverse. And it was an avatar of Zuckerberg, who I think is the only person in the world who does look like an avatar anyway. But it was, if you can imagine anyone looking even more Zuckerbergian than Zuckerberg, this avatar, but it had no legs. The technology seemed not to be able to give anyone legs. And then there was an avatar of Nick Clegg, remember him?
Yeah. Nick Clegg has actually outlived the Metaverse.
He's
That's the amazing thing.
Yes. I've seen him. He's got legs and everything now. And it involved Nick Clegg saying, well, this is amazing, Mark, but tell us how this is going to benefit us. And then Mark Zuckerberg would explain how the Metaverse would allow us to meet up with people who are far away and sit down in digitally realized sharing spaces, whatever. And after about a year or so, people started using it and realizing it was mostly empty or full of predators. That's really what it was like. But he insisted the entire company had to shift focus to that until I think last week.
Really?
Yes.
When it was ditched?
When he's decided that he won't say it's a bad idea.
Yeah.
He'll just say, I know what they say in Google land is like he's going to sunset that idea. Because no one in that world, there are no negatives. It's all positive.
Did you ever go in the Metaverse?
No. Why would I?
You've missed your window now.
I know.
Don't worry about that.
I could have got up and just spooked Zuckerberg.
So AI could go the way of the Metaverse. It could be something that in the future we can't even remember that anyone ever wanted to use it.
No, I know.
Do you remember Paul Squire?
What?
Do you remember Paul Squire?
No, go on.
No, exactly. Does anyone remember Paul Squire? No. Okay, in the early 80s, there's someone gone off to check who he was. Look, in the early 80s...
He's here tonight. Please welcome.
Paul Squire was a comedian.
Is that the AI expert we're expecting?
He had such a big hit BBC show that he was immediately poached by ITV for even more money, and that ran for one series, and now he's completely forgotten. He's the Metaverse of comedy.
Yeah. But I
thought, you know what, I thought I judged that really well, and I thought Paul Squire was one of those people who's right on the cusp of memory, and you would be so delighted to be reminded of his existence that you'd forgotten that it would create a huge laugh. But I had just picked something just slightly too obscure, and it just was met with silence. And that shows what a difficult job it is doing comedy sometimes. You have to choose things that flatter people's intelligence when they remember them, but are not so obscure that they have no impact whatsoever. It's a very finely judged thing. But the Metaverse will be like that one day. People won't remember the Metaverse.
No. Do you think in the Metaverse there's an avatar of you?
No, definitely not. Because
I'm sorry I got the illusion to a vaguely forgotten celebrity, slightly misjudged. I will try again. Do you remember Huey Green? Or no, I accept now that's too obvious.
That's too obvious, yeah.
Yes, you're right. I will go back and... Do you remember Robin Cook? Yes, I understand now. That's a bit odd, isn't it, bringing a politician into this? I understand you want celebrities with a degree of familiarity, but also slightly unmemorable, so it surprises you that when their name comes up.
Why did the people Why did the people in the Metaverse have no legs?
I don't know. Why did the people in the Metaverse have no legs?
So, but we could be worrying too much about AI. That's what I'm saying. It could go the way of the Metaverse.
Yeah, or it could kill us all.
Or it could kill us all. Yeah. It will either fall on its sword because it can't draw a picture of a full glass of wine, yes. Or it will kill us all.
Yes.
And on that bombshell.
Why do you think they say this is a conversation we're going to have? The AI people. Why do they say we're at this fork? Because presumably. I mean, it'd be frightening if they didn't, but presumably they know more about it than anyone.
Right, because they've put a lot of money into it.
Yeah.
They've maxed out the investment potential of it, and they need it to work. And they're worried that it isn't going to,
right?
Because it's already unravelling. I mean, we've had things like that story where West Midlands Police banned the Maccabi Tel Aviv fans from coming to Birmingham because they had reports of a football match between that team and West Ham that had gone crazy and caused massive violence, and that turned out to be an AI hallucination, that that the AI had invented a football riot that never happened between two teams that had never rioted against each other, and that became a policy basis of an incredibly controversial decision.
And because people aren't checking up, because we've been persuaded, or they've been persuaded, that there's no need to, because the software is so perfect. There were an example about a month ago of AI that transcribes conversations and case reports in social care. And it was saying things like, they have fish fingers, whereas in fact, they have fights, was what it was meant to be, but they have fish. And nobody checked, nobody picked up on, they have fish fingers in the middle of this otherwise harrowing case report. So, and cases have been thrown out in America where law firms have brought previous judgments that have set a precedent only to just be told that they don't exist. No one's checked. So that's sort of where we are. I think the other notable trend with AI, like everything, is it in the end converges towards the pornographic. As in, the biggest story of AI most recently has been the software that allows you to nudify images and so on. And I remember I was researching a project that was going to be about robots and robotics, and there was a company in London who were very good at making robotic hands. And I went to their store, and it was a little basement in Islington. It looked like a kind of somebody's tool shop. I mean, it was just lots of, like an ironmonger's. So it was just lots of shelves with fingers and whatever. And they were very evangelical about how, we can soon we'll be able to get it so that they'll be able to do all sorts of things. And I said, how are you funded? Well, and he said, well, we get one or two big donors who want special robot hands as sex toys. And with no qualms whatsoever, they pour a lot of their effort into making sex hands, robotic sex hands, that I don't know who just scuttle. I don't know. I don't know how it works. It's probably best this is radio or not, because I don't know what you do with a sex robot hand.
I had no idea you were going to bring that subject.
No, neither did I, but what do you make of that,
I remember
Stuart?
a programme from the early days of Channel 5, which was about when Channel 5 was a lawless, crazy place. There was a programme about people that developed sex toys, not commercially, but just for their own interest. But they were sort of boffins, right? They weren't really interested in sex. They were just interested in how fast you could make a dildo mounted on a motor go. And they were getting people to sort of test them out. They were not remotely aroused by anything. They were just kind of making notes about at what point would the motor give in and stuff like that. And it was a really interesting thing to watch people that they were quite admirable in a way. They had no desire or anything. They just wanted to make the best possible piece of equipment that they could for their own satisfaction as sort of scientists, really, rather like someone building a great model train set or something. It was the least erotic program I've ever seen involving sex. It was just, But anyway, you can see where it comes from. But so, do you think that AI needs to be more pornographic or less pornographic in order to? Well,
this is a conversation we're going to have. I think. Right, we're going to open up. We're going to get some questions. So
there's a question already.
Hello. Thank you for your opinion. So I'd like to put a positive opinion on this. AI on breast screening, for example. I live part-time in the Czech Republic, and you can pay 100 crowns, which is £3, to have a AI eye over your screen. So you have two doctors and the AI. Luckily, I was fine. Two of my friends got picked up by AI that the doctors had missed. So I just think there's a positive on this.
Oh, absolutely.
And so we shouldn't be just talking about negatives.
No, that's a very good point. My view on AI has always been it's a tool, and it depends how you use it. You can use it or you can abuse it. And as a tool, like any other tool, it requires oversight. It requires a second opinion, or its conclusions shouldn't be taken for granted, that we should automatically be checking them. But what it's very good at is processing information quickly and concisely in a way that would take other people a long time to do. Or, as you were saying, it can spot things that other people can miss. So I'm not saying it's rubbish from start to finish. What I'm saying is, there should be a human element involved in how it's used, and there should be guardrails on it, especially when we get into the whole position of it telling which bombs to go where on a probability whim rather than an actual assessment.
That was a very reasonable answer to that.
Thank you very much. I take the point, absolutely.
I daren't go near that question.
Anyway, yes, there was someone over here.
Thank you. The question about the relentless positivity and confidence of the language, is it partially, or do you believe it's because a lot of the companies, if you look at Chat GPT, Claude, Copilot, Gemini, are American?
Yes.
And so, being an American myself, I can say that we are the golden retrievers of the world.
I think that's a very good point. I mean, America, especially West Coast America, is very positive. There's a story of an American agent who saw a comedian in Edinburgh. It's a true story, I think, who just at the end goes up to him and goes, "You're absolutely incredible. I'm going to fly you out. You'll be all the top TV there. My God, you're incredible." Flew him out, sitting down in New York, surrounded. And the agent's going, "This guy's incredible, absolutely incredible. Let's eat. The prawns here are incredible." And that's when he realized, incredible is like base camp in American kind of...
The head of Paramount Films about 20 years ago said he was very excited to meet me as he was a huge fan of my work, but he hadn't seen any of it.
Yes. Thanks for listening to Strong Message here. I'll be back next week, and why not go and listen to some of our episodes from our back catalogue? Just search for Strong Message here and subscribe on BBC Sounds. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Artificial intelligence is going to change everything, from healthcare to transport, from social media to every search you make online, and it's already all around us.
It sure is. So if you want to get to grips with what all of this means for you, then The Artificial Human from BBC Radio 4 is your essential guide to understanding this latest technological advance. I'm Alex Kratowski.
And I'm Kevin Fong. And in every episode, Alex and I are here to get answers to your questions about AI and even ask a few of our own.
Whether that's, can AI make me fitter? Or, why do I feel so sad when my favorite chatbot gets an upgrade? Kevin, do you have a favorite chatbot?
Alex, as you well know, I love all my chatbots equally.
Well, that is The Artificial Human. Listen now on BBC Sounds.